Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here. In this video I'm going to be talking about some very interesting topics. One of that relates to timeline collapsing and the other represents the event in 2038. We're going to firstly take a look at timelines. And again, I use that term, but I don't really accurately feel that that is the appropriate term of what's going on, but we use it for continuity's sake here, understanding it kind of in a linear term. So let's say, for example, that we have this bundle of different timelines that goes out. Of course, I'm just drawing a few lines here, but it could be hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, and so forth. And primarily what's happening is that we have a timeline. It's almost like we're looking at ourselves as this current. And this current is moving through a particular timeline, and it's about to diverge with another timeline, and then diverge with another timeline, and so on and so forth. Well, basically what's happening here is that there is a higher order of things that is taking place that is actually trimming out certain timelines that we are intended to meet, right? So we have these branches that are going out, and it feels like there's a momentum in front of the scenes where we feel that we're going. Again, a lot of people have feared about the nature of world war or anything of that degree, and it feels like there's this convergence point where something like that could quite possibly happen. But all of a sudden, when that convergence point is imminent, something takes place, a shift takes place, and all of a sudden we're at a completely new timeline that even a lot of people who are very intuitively gifted could not see. We're seeing these shifts, we're seeing this kind of gardening that's taking place, where we're trimming out the weeds. We're clearing out these very highly projected timelines where we think we're going, where there's a war here, or there's a battle here, or there's a great conflict that's taking place here, and all of a sudden that convergence shifts, and then we move into this absolutely new timeline that completely collapses everything else. So the best way I can put it is, if here is a convergence point, and that convergence point is now being intervened upon, then we come out with a new timeline. And everything else beneath it is basically going into a state of collapse. And that is what's taking place. We're seeing so many shifts relating to timelines. We're seeing edits taking place. We're seeing the trimming of timeline-based events, or as I refer to them as event fractals, that are taking place. That's bringing us onto a much more sanitized timeline, right? So this timeline that is taking place right now has taken place because we've seen so many of these other timelines just dropping out. It's kind of like you have the cutting shears, and you're just cutting. You're cutting out all of these opportunities for these timelines to be forged. And this is something that's so very difficult for us to understand in the linear world, right? And of course, you have a lot of experts talking about how things may start to happen that seem quite unsettling, that, we're on the brink of massive starvation, we're on the brink of depopulation, we're on the brink of world war. No, no, and no. Oh, but Brad, what's going to change that? Divine intervention is basically what is changing that. It's an intelligence, it's a higher intelligence order. And it's something that, as long as we stay transfixed in the lowest world that there is, which is this one, you're never going to understand what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, that's what's taking place. Because I can see these things just dropping away like flies. Seeing these events, these timelines, that so many people are so absolutely certain that we're going to cross, and what happens is they get cut out. They just completely phase out and we're moving up into a new, higher timeline. And as I have always stated, it is not, and I repeat, it is not about depop. Okay? This is not what's happening. It is about repop. It is repopulation, not depopulation, that is taking place. And this I can say, I would say most definitely, that a lot of us, many of us, perhaps even every single human being on the planet, is basically going through a cleaning right now. It's a cleaning not like what you would understand physically or intellectually or anything like that, anything to do with the physical body or the emotional state or anything of that nature. This is more like a soul cleansing, right? And this actually happened to me just last night, just before doing this video. I was actually dreaming about doing some internal cleaning from the heart all the way down to the feet. And as that cleaning was taking place, right, feeling energy moving throughout the entire body, I just saw this woman's face, and it just all of a sudden turned into, it was almost like a demon meets a predator, like the movie Monster the Predator, together with a demon, and just, bleh, right, just a screaming face just came right up to me. I said, whoa, that's interesting. But actually, it gave me a bit of a chuckle, and I just, in the dream, took that person and just gave them a hug, and then just said, it's okay, you are me, come home, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then it vanished. But this is what I feel is happening for so many people, because I've talked to clients about this, I've talked to students about this, I'm even talking to you guys in groups about these things, about how we're shifting, how we're moving, and some of you have told me about how you're feeling the shifts within yourself as well too. It feels like a soul cleansing that's going on, and you're right, you're absolutely right about that. So this is not just about the physical, this is not just about the emotional, this is something far deeper, and it is a soul cleansing in the best way that I can put it. It's a soul cleansing that's taking place. It's something that we can't even reach through our own particular state of conception, right? Our conceptual understanding can't even reach this nature of a soul cleansing. It's like we're being aligned, again, by a higher order. A higher order is coming together. So if we're looking at the planet Earth here, and what is taking place is it's like all of these rays of light, all of these angles, so to speak, are coming upon the planet and just scrubbing everything clean. And that's kind of an analogy that I would put, is that some of us refer to it as angelic consciousness, is that angels are basically coming upon the planet as these light rays, because some people call them angels or angles, right? I'd say both have their own relevance in their own way, because there is, again, a divine intelligence representing the nature of angels, and there's also a divine intelligence representing the nature of angles. So again, we're looking at proportions. Again, we're looking at higher beings. Again, we're looking at higher spiritual intelligence. Some people will create that argument and saying that, are there angels or angles? And my suggestion is, can't there be both? Can't there be both within all of creation? I think so. So how about we're looking at them both? How about we're looking at a higher angelic intelligence? How about we are looking at angles of light that are coming through proportionately to help align, realign, and clean not only the earth, but every particular form of sentient life, organic life, living beings on this planet? I would say that's certainly possible. So I would say both play a validity here. So what we're seeing here is just this complete and total condensing, this complete and total collapsing of many timelines. And this has been happening for quite some time, but intensely, I'd say it's been happening the past couple of months. The past couple of months, the intensity of this timeline shifting, of this timeline cleaning, is just escalating more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And it's going to continue to do that. And we're looking into a wide array of massive events that will be taking place over the years. Okay? And I've also talked about, as part of the title of this video, that we're looking at 2038. Okay? What do I mean by that? Whoops. Knocking things off my board here. What do I mean by that with 2038 and the event? Okay? So again, like I said, a lot of people online are talking about the event and thinking this is something that's going to affect the entire planet. This is something that's going to affect the sun. This is something that's going to affect our star system. And I said, you're thinking about it and you're looking at it way too little, right? That's very, very small in regards to what you're actually looking at when it comes to the event, because it's much bigger than that, all right? So I'm going to put a dot right here on the center, which I'm going to get into here in just a moment. But I'm also going to do this. Okay? And we're right about here. Okay? This would be where we are currently. And as the days, weeks, months, and years pass, there is a greater contracting. There is a greater shrinking down, representing the intensity of events. And when we get to here, there's a new spout that is opening. Now, does anybody know exactly what I've just drawn here? This is a hyperboloid, okay? And a hyperboloid represents that hourglass geometry. And over here, I could also start putting the shape of the torus, okay? And we're right about here. So this is representing our current event intensity, as I'll call it. We have event intensity that is, again, very strong. It's very palpable. We're noticing that things are heating up. We haven't seen anything yet, okay? There's a lot more to go. There's a lot more to come. And again, like I said, over the months, over the years, we're going to see these intense events starting to buckle and starting to tighten as we're moving into singularity. Well, what does that mean? Means that it will not be uncommon to see 100 world events happening in one day, 200 world events happening in one day, 300 world events happening in one day, 400 world events happening in one day. Even though a lot of events are happening right now, I would not call that many events happening in one day just yet. But that's where we're going. And this particular point right here, this dot that I said I would be getting back to, represents 2038, okay? So you've heard me talk about 2037, 2038. Well, I've been doing a lot of more investigation with 2038, and this would also correspond with the Great Pyramid of Giza Egyptian timeline, to where everything representing the prophecy of events culminates in the year 2038. And this is what I've discovered as well too. That is basically what's happening, is that we're going through the singularity that will take place in 2038. So right now, like I said, we're still not even really halfway through the hyperboloid yet. Okay, maybe close, but not quite. Maybe about 40 to 45%. Okay, and then we're dropping. And everything pertaining to events is getting more intense and more intense and more intense. It's not all going to be bad stuff. It's just a lot of things are happening. Good things and bad, good things and bad, good things and bad. So there will be a mixture of different things, but it's going to start intensifying. And it's like you're just watching this funnel starting to get thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. And then we pop into singularity, and then we come out the other side. What's on the other side? The complete and total dissolvement of everything corrupt, right? The complete and total dissolvement of everything that represents this particular, I guess you could say, monadic aspect of events that we've been going through for many thousands of years. This has never happened before in all of the universe. We are basically seeing the collapse of one universe and we are seeing the opening of another one simultaneously. So just like a black hole, as we call it here, is absorbing all of that, you could say content, okay? All of that magnetism that's going back into the dielectric, there's another side to it, right? The opposite end of the event horizon, the opposite end of the null point. And we pop out the other side where everything still looks the same. It's still an Earth, it's still all these things, but we just notice that everything just feels a lot more calmer. All of those things that were basically being pulled into the null point of the hyperboloid of the center were now just being ejected out the other end to another Earth that is going to be completely and totally absent of all of this chaos, completely and totally absent of all of this takeover of these particular types of governments and oligarchs, secret societies, all of that. It's basically going to be gone. So that's going to be very interesting. We still don't know exactly what will happen on the other end of 2038 other than a ceasing of everything that represented the world in suffering. That's it. Other than that, don't know, because we're looking at a completely different universe. A complete different universe is going to be coming together in 2038, because that is the time to where the ancient fulfillment of all prophecies that have happened for many thousands of years culminate. It all culminates in 2038. It all culminates in regards to the nature of the singularity. So singularity is bringing us from one particular dimension, or not say dimension, but one particular universe into another universe where we don't really have a great picture of what is happening on the other side other than the absence of world suffering, right? All of these events are basically just going to be, it's like you're pulling a plug out of the drain and you're just watching the water swill down into the drain, down the pipes, and coming out another end, so to speak. So that is exactly what I feel is taking place in 2038. And I've looked into this and I said, I'm getting that feeling. I'm getting this feeling of this truncation of events. I'm getting this feeling of swelling, right? Like everything is just tightening up and tightening up and tightening up and tightening up and tightening up. And that this primarily follows a Fibonacci sequence relating to what is going to transpire leading up into the singularity null point of 2038, okay? So as I said before that time, we're going to see a lot of changes, major changes, because we have timeline sanitation taking place here right now. They're cutting out so many things in this higher order, these angels, these angles, this higher order, this higher administration is cutting out so many different timelines that is preventing any massive loss of life. So we're seeing something very, very powerful here. And as I talk about with repopulation, the repopulation protocol, people are being cleaned. They're being cleaned up. They're being cleansed on a soul level. And all of these things that they have once feared just can't be found anymore. So it's not happening to everybody, but it's happening to certain people where something of that nature can be cleaned with very little effort. And then there's those that are very much heavily greedy, heavily manipulative, murderers, genocidal nutcases, who just can't be helped, and they can't be cleaned. And basically they run their course here on this earth, and then they go somewhere else when this is all said and done. The reason why this is a different idea from what many other people have called the event is because this event affects the entire universe. The event is a universal phenomenon. It is not local. It is not just with our Earth. It is not just with our sun. It is not just with the star system. It is with the entire universe. It's exactly what Adronis said a few months ago, is talking about the true nature of the event. Someone was asking about, is the event just the idea of a solar situation that's happening, something happening with our sun, a solar blast that's hitting our Earth, and some people getting taken out of that? And it says, no, that is a misconstrued idea. of what the event actually is. The event is universal in nature, which means it does not matter if you are alive in your body or if you have died. And you are in spirit, you're going to feel it. Okay? So regardless of where you are, regardless if you're alive on the earth, regardless if you're a discarnate, regardless if you're in different spiritual realms, everyone is going to feel this. Everyone feels the event. It's inevitable and it is unescapable. Right? As long as you're in this universe, doesn't matter what dimension of the ladder you're up or down, doesn't matter. You're at the lowest level of the heaviest, densest reality, and you're moving up into the highest, if we can call it that, but just moving into all these different accordion levels of the universe, you're going to feel it, okay? Everybody's moving from one universe to another. That's what this whole thing entails. It is a powerful, transformative event taking place in 2038. That again matches up with the Great Pyramid of Giza Egyptian timeline, which Edgar Cayce had talked about quite a bit of detail. And this is what I had to do a lot of searching. I said, what's so special about 2038? Why do I keep getting the feeling of 2038? What's up with this? And through my own investigations, this is what I was discovering, is that 2038 represents the year of singularity. And we're popping out of an old universe, and that universe is going to collapse. Everything pertaining to this old universe in regards to its monadic levels of timelines, event fractals, are basically going to collapse and transfer over instantaneously into another universe. Everything all polished, everything all cleaned, coming out the other end into a new universe where nothing like this on the earth has happened, that is going to lead to chaos, corruption, suffering, right? All of that, which matches up perfectly to what Adronis has talked about from 2038 to 2050, representing the span of inauguration. Quite simply, the nature of a galactic inauguration, which means we're going to start learning to work together through these beginning steps of becoming a galactic society. Those are the stepping stones. 2038 to 2050. So right now we're just about to enter 2025, which is the span of renewal. 2025 to 2036. 2037 represents an ending of that particular age. 2038 represents the singularity. 2038 to 2050 represents galactic inauguration. So this is going to be very interesting about the times ahead. So I'm obviously going to keep us all updated. We still have quite a few years before that time comes, but there's going to be some major changes through all of this timeline work that is taking place right now on the planet. A lot of things are going to continue to shift. A lot of the things are going to actually be made much better than what we have seen in the past. So it's very exciting. I wanted to share all this with you. I was getting a download of this last night. There's a lot more to it, but I'm going to share that in another video. There's a lot more here that I need to share, especially talking about the nature about how Earth has got this way pertaining to corruption. So that's another video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll speak to you again in the next video. Take care, namaskar, and may it be well with you. Bye for now. Thank you very much for watching the Wisdom Transmissions YouTube channel. I'm the host, Brad Johnson. I want to thank you for dropping by. I would encourage you just to like, share, comment, and subscribe this video. There's going to be a lot more videos like this to come on this channel. Also remember that I have 2 webcasts each week. On Wednesdays, I have Wisdom Transmissions Live right here on YouTube. On Thursdays, I have the Signposts, which is on Rumble. These are 2 excellent webcasts. It's a way to interact with the community here of Wisdom Transmissions and of the Signposts. You can also check out my website, wisdomtransmissions.com, as I do private sessions. I'm also doing full body scans, source healing. That's available on the website too. I also have my other website, which is etherics.co. You can check that out, as it all represents source-enhanced body attunement products. So check that out as well too. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care and be well.